Intermittent fasting has been praised for its supposed fat loss and health benefits, but what happens when you combine it with exercise? Is it a match made in fitness heaven or just another overhyped trend? From Wits and Weights, I'm Philip Pape, and this is Nutrition Science Daily, bringing you the latest in nutrition, fat loss, and health science all in under 5 minutes. Intermittent fasting, or IF, has become super popular, almost viral. It's talked about all the time. I used to use it myself, and the idea here is simple. You alternate between a period of eating and a period of fasting with the idea to tap into fat stores, boost metabolic health, and simplify your diet. And all of those claims, I'm going to set those aside for today's episode. We've talked about that before. And just to give you the TLDR on that, intermittent fasting is no superior to any other timing strategy for any of those benefits. I'm going to leave it at that. What happens, however, when you throw exercise into the mix? Does fasting before or after your workout provide extra benefits? That is what we're talking about today. Let's just define the basics here. Usually intermittent fasting follows a pattern like a 16-8, where you have 16 hours of fasting and an 8-hour feeding window. It could even be more extreme like alternate day fasting. And proponents and influencers claim that it helps with fat loss, insulin sensitivity, autophagy, which is a process of cleaning or removing damaged cells. And even while you can cherry pick a study here or there to try to support some of these claims, again, it is important to remember IF is not inherently superior to other meal timing strategies when calories and macros are equated. So I said I wouldn't get into it, but I just wanted to state that. Now, when we combine it with exercise, things get more nuanced because exercising in a fasted state, typically after an overnight fast, is believed to promote fat oxidation, which means your body uses more fat for fuel. That's because your glycogen stores are depleted after the fast, and that forces your body to rely on fat. Now, 2 episodes ago, we talked about refined carbs and glycogen, so check that out. So this sounds great, right? You're just going to become a fat-burning machine. Well, not so fast, because the downside is that fasted exercise, it could compromise performance, and it probably will. People who train with high intensity or are lifters, who I'm speaking to on this show, and if you don't lift weights, it's one of the best things you can start today. And I'm not going to say more about that, but for people who do that, fasting could be a huge detriment. Some people can get away with it. Some people are okay with it. But generally that's the case because you don't have adequate glycogen. So you don't have as much energy to lift heavier and push harder in that glycolytic energy system. And that can limit your gains over time, right? Even if you are in a fat burning mode, you just don't have that readily available glycogen. And then muscle protein breakdown is a concern in a fasted state, especially if you're not meeting your protein needs. Now, if you are, that's a little bit less of a concern. And many of you might have heard of taking EAAs, essential amino acids, if you train in a fasted state, which can mitigate it a tiny bit. I think they're a waste of money because generally I don't even recommend training fasted to begin with. Now, interestingly, a study in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that when calories and protein were controlled, the timing of meals, including fasting, had little impact on fat loss or muscle gain. In other words, it's not magic. Its benefits probably come from helping you stick to the calorie deficit or simplifying and making your meal planning more consistent. So should you fast before or after your workout? If your priority is performance, muscle growth, or recovery, then fueling your workout with some protein and carbs beforehand is probably the way to go. And so I would say experiment with it. If you want to try fasted exercise, try it and then compare it to exercising not fasted. And I almost guarantee you that you're going to find that you feel better and you perform better when you're not fasted, putting aside some of the concerns people have with, well, I can't just eat right before I train. Well, there's solutions to that. Like, what are you eating? Is it digestible? How much of it? How long before, et cetera? That's a different issue. If that's your concern, it has nothing to do with fasting itself or not. It's really the meal strategy. Always prioritize the protein and total calorie intake throughout your day regardless, and that's going to be your best protection against muscle loss, even if you are fasting. Like, I have clients who do fast and they train fasted and they just want to, or they feel great, or it's more practical, and that's fine. It's not the worst thing in the world. It may not be 100% optimal, but it might be 95% optimal. So you're going to get the protein throughout the day, which is 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. And then, of course, if performance is your goal, just have a pre-workout meal. Have some protein, some carbs, about an hour, 1 to 2 hours before training. The closer it is to your training, the more digestible it needs to be, like a banana and whey protein shake, as opposed to, say, oatmeal with some fat in it if you did it earlier. So intermittent fasting, it can be a useful tool for a small percentage of people for fat loss, metabolic health, whatever, only because it allows them to control their calories and their consistency practically. That's it. It is not a one-size-fits-all solution, and it is definitely not superior to any other solution, even with or especially when compared with training and exercise. Context, goals, personal preferences matter the most here. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So I guess I did end up explaining more than I meant to about why fasting is not superior, but I wanted to put it in context. All right, want to explore more about meal timing, fasting, performance nutrition. I recently did an episode called 10 Intermittent Fasting Myths That Need to Die on the Wits and Weights podcast. A nice controversial one there. It shouldn't be controversial, but people are in their tribes and, love to troll on this stuff. But if you're trying to find something that works for you, I would highly recommend that. And text this episode with a friend who's curious about fasting, about training fasted, and so on. They might appreciate the clarity and the nuance. All right, tomorrow we are touching on a very hot topic always, and that is strength training versus cardio during fat loss. Which one is better? You don't want to miss that. Hit follow and you'll catch that episode.